The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. At first, the radio astronomers at the Global Space Observation Center thought it was just another routine signal from one of Earth's many space probes. But this was different. The pattern was too organized, too precise to be natural, yet unlike anything humans had created. Tom Wilson, the lead astronomer on duty, nearly spilled his coffee when the computer finished decoding the first part of the message. "Please help," it read in perfect English. "Fleet approaching your system. Refugees seeking sanctuary." Within hours, every major observatory on Earth turned their instruments toward the source of the transmission. They found what the message had promised: a small fleet of ships, barely visible even with the most powerful telescopes, approaching from the direction of Alpha Centauri. The United Nations Security Council gathered in an emergency session. Representatives from every nation sat in tense silence as they watched the recorded message play on the large screen before them. "People of Earth," the alien figure spoke, its appearance surprisingly humanoid except for its silvery skin and large dark eyes. "We are the survivors of the third sector worlds. We come seeking refuge from the Galactic Empire. They follow a pattern: discover, subjugate, assimilate. Your world has been marked as their next target." Military satellites confirmed the approach of 12 ships, all showing signs of battle damage. They were relatively small, nothing like the massive invasion fleets described in science fiction stories. These were clearly civilian vessels, running from something much worse. The refugee fleet's leader, who called himself Captain Reed, a name chosen to be easily pronounced by humans, provided detailed information about the Empire. They were methodical, efficient, and absolutely certain of their right to rule. They had conquered thousands of worlds over millennia, building their empire one system at a time. "They believe in the natural order of things," Captain Reed explained during the first face-to-face meeting with Earth's leaders. "In their view, advanced civilizations have not just the right, but the duty to guide lesser ones. Those who resist are seen as children throwing a tantrum." The news of alien contact spread across Earth like wildfire. Despite government attempts to maintain calm, people reacted with a mix of fear, excitement, and determination. Social media exploded with discussions, theories, and, surprisingly, a strong surge of defiance. "We survived countless wars, plagues, and disasters," became a common theme online. "We won't bow to some space empire." The refugees brought proof of their claims. They shared recordings of imperial ships reducing cities to ash, of entire populations being processed into the empire's rigid social structure. But they also brought hope, technological knowledge that could help Earth resist. "Your world is different," Captain Reed told the UN Assembly. "We've observed your broadcasts for years. Your people have something we rarely see: unity in diversity. You fight, you argue, but when truly threatened, you stand together." Military leaders worldwide began quiet preparations. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the refugee technology. Politicians drafted emergency protocols. But most importantly, Earth's people faced this threat not with panic, but with resolve. The warning was clear: the Galactic Empire was coming, expecting to find another primitive world ready for assimilation into their perfect order. Instead, they would find humanity, messy, chaotic, innovative, and absolutely unwilling to submit. As the first month after first contact drew to a close, Earth's major powers signed the unprecedented Global Defense Accord. For the first time in human history, all military forces would work under a single command structure. The refugees were granted sanctuary in return for their technical knowledge. "We have perhaps 6 months," Captain Reed estimated. "Their scout ships will arrive first. Then they will demand submission. When we refuse," the UN Secretary-General finished the thought, "then they will learn that Earth is not like other worlds. We may be less advanced, but we will not be conquered." As humanity prepared for its greatest challenge, a simple message was broadcast into space, aimed at the approaching Imperial scouts: "Earth stands united. We choose our own path. The warning had been delivered. Now, the real work would begin. The next 3 months changed Earth more than the previous century. With the help of the refugees, humans began to understand just how vast the gap was between their technology and the Empire's. But instead of giving up hope, this knowledge only made them work harder. In the deserts of Nevada, scientists worked day and night studying the refugee ship's shield technology. Dr. James Parker, a physicist who had spent his career being called crazy for his theories about energy fields, finally found what he had been looking for all along. The Empire's shields are perfect, he explained to military leaders, pointing at complex diagrams. That's their weakness. They're designed to stop everything. But what if we don't try to stop attacks, but redirect them instead? The refugee engineers were shocked by this approach. No one in the Empire had ever considered making shields this way. It wasn't efficient, wasn't elegant, but it might just work. Meanwhile, in underground bases across the world, soldiers trained with new weapons. Laser rifles were too advanced to copy quickly, but Earth's engineers found ways to upgrade traditional weapons. They added shield-piercing capabilities to normal bullets and missiles, using the refugees' knowledge of Imperial defenses. The Empire expects primitives with simple weapons, General Thompson told her troops during training. They don't expect those simple weapons to be modified to bypass their best defenses. Space around Earth's orbit became busy with construction. The world's space agencies, now working as one, launched hundreds of satellites. Some were decoys, others held weapons, and many were simply meant to confuse Imperial scanners. The refugees helped hide these preparations, using tricks they had learned during their escape. The Global Defense Council faced its own challenges. Old enemies had to learn to work together, sharing secrets and resources. There were arguments, accusations of hoarding technology, and fears of betrayal. But every time tensions rose too high, someone would play the recordings of Imperial conquests, reminding everyone what failure would mean. Major Williams stood on the moon's surface, watching Earth in the distance while construction robots built the new defense base around him. "It's strange," he said over the radio. "We've spent thousands of years fighting each other. Now we might lose everything, but we've never been more united." The refugees proved invaluable not just for their technology, but for their knowledge of Imperial tactics. Captain Reed spent hours with Earth's military leaders, explaining how the Empire fought. "They always follow the same pattern," he said, showing holographic recordings of previous conquests. "First, they send scouts. Then, a diplomatic vessel arrives to demand surrender. If refused, they send what they call a minor correction fleet, enough ships to defeat most planets. They never expect serious resistance." Earth scientists made another breakthrough when studying the refugee ships' communication systems. They found ways to hide their preparations from Imperial scans, making Earth appear less developed than it really was. "Let them think we're harmless," said Dr. Lisa Chen, head of the communication project. "The bigger their surprise, the better our chances." Underground bases were built in record time. The world's armies moved most of their forces into hidden positions. On the surface, life continued almost normally, exactly what the Empire would expect from a primitive world unaware of the greater galaxy. 6 months after the refugees' arrival, Earth had changed completely. Hidden shield generators waited in every major city. Weapons platforms orbited in disguise. Soldiers trained with new weapons and tactics. Most importantly, humanity had found a unity and purpose it had never known before. The first Imperial scout ship was detected entering the solar system, just as the last major defense installation was completed. As planned, Earth went silent. All obvious transmissions stopped. Only hidden channels remained active, carrying messages between defense forces. Captain Reed watched the preparations with growing hope. "We came here expecting to find refuge," he told the Defense Council. "Instead, we found something the Empire has never faced, a world that refuses to be conquered even before the first shot is fired." The council chambers were quiet as they watched the scout ships approach on their screens. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin. They had done everything possible to prepare. Now they would see if it was enough. Earth was ready. The Imperial scout ships looked exactly like Captain Reed had described. Sleek, silver vessels that moved with impossible grace. 3 of them entered the solar system, passing Neptune's orbit with casual confidence. They made no attempt to hide. Why should they? They had conquered thousands of worlds, and Earth was just another primitive planet to add to their collection. In the hidden command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thompson watched their approach. "They're following the exact pattern," she said, comparing their movement to the refugee data. "Arrogant. Perfect. Just as we hoped." Earth maintained complete radio silence. On the surface, cities continued their normal activities, but underground bunkers were fully staffed. Military forces waited in hidden bases. Defensive platforms around Jupiter stayed powered down, invisible to Imperial scans. The scout ships passed Mars, running standard scans of Earth. Their reports, intercepted and decoded using refugee technology, were exactly what humanity wanted: primitive civilization. Early space age, no significant defenses detected, suitable for standard integration procedures. Then came the diplomatic vessel. It was larger than the scout ships, decorated with gleaming symbols of Imperial authority. It stopped at the moon's orbit and broadcast its message in all Earth languages simultaneously. People of Earth, the Imperial ambassador's hologram appeared in government buildings worldwide. "We bring you greetings from the eternal Galactic Empire. Your world has been chosen for the honor of joining our perfect union of civilizations. Prepare to receive our representatives who will guide your transition into Imperial citizenship." The Command Council had prepared for this moment. Earth's response was simple, broadcast from a single station in Antarctica. "This system is closed to Imperial forces. Please leave." The ambassador's next message showed the first crack in Imperial confidence. No primitive world had ever refused their first offer. "Perhaps we were unclear. We are not requesting. The Empire brings order, progress, and peace to all worlds. Resistance is both futile and unnecessarily destructive." "We understand perfectly," came Earth's reply. "Our answer remains the same. Leave our system." That's when the Empire made its first mistake. The diplomatic vessel launched what it called a compliance demonstration, a single missile aimed at an uninhabited area of the Sahara Desert. They expected it to overwhelm any primitive defenses and demonstrate their power. Instead, the missile hit Dr. Parker's new shield design. Rather than trying to stop the energy blast, the shield curved around it, redirecting it harmlessly into space. To the Empire's sensors, it looked like their missile had simply vanished. The ambassador's next transmission showed genuine confusion. "How did?" "No matter. This is your final warning. Accept Imperial authority or face correction." Earth's response came not in words, but in action. Hidden defense platforms around the moon activated, surrounding the diplomatic vessel with targeting locks. They didn't fire. They didn't need to. The message was clear. Earth was not defenseless. "This is impossible," the ambassador broadcast, his perfect diplomatic tone cracking. "You are a primitive world. You cannot have this technology." General Thompson allowed herself a small smile as she gave the next order. "Show them what else we have." Across the solar system, hidden platforms and satellites revealed themselves. The Empire's scans suddenly showed hundreds of weapons aimed at their ships. The refugees' guidance had helped place them in perfect firing positions. The diplomatic vessel retreated quickly, another first in Imperial history. Its final message held both anger and disbelief. "You have been warned. The Empire does not tolerate rebellion. The correction fleet will teach you your proper place." As the Imperial ships fled the solar system, cheers erupted in command centers worldwide. But the celebration was short. Everyone knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," Captain Reed warned, "with more ships than you've ever seen. But you've already achieved something incredible. You've shown the Empire can be surprised, can be afraid." In orbit, Earth's defensive grid powered up fully for the first time. Millions of lights in the night sky marked humanity's determination to remain free. The real battle was about to begin. But Earth had sent its message loud and clear. This world would not submit. This world would fight. And the Empire was about to learn just how dangerous a primitive world could be. The Imperial Minor Correction Fleet arrived exactly as Captain Reed had predicted. 50 warships, each one larger than anything humans had built, emerged from faster-than-light travel near Saturn. Their silver hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight as they moved with military precision toward Earth. Standard attack formation, Captain Reed noted in the command center. They're not even trying to be creative. They've never needed to be. General Thompson nodded. Then let's show them why they should have. She pressed a button, and Operation Red Planet began. The Empire's ships approached Mars confidently. Their scans showed nothing but empty space and a few primitive human satellites. What they couldn't see were the hundreds of automated defense platforms hidden in Mars' asteroid belt, their signals masked by special devices copied from refugee technology. The Imperial commander's message was brief. Surrender now, and your population centers will be spared. Resist, and face the consequences of your foolishness. Earth's response came from an unexpected source. The primitive satellites suddenly released clouds of what looked like space debris. The Empire ignored this apparent malfunction until the debris revealed itself to be millions of tiny mirrors. The mirrors, positioned perfectly, reflected sunlight directly at the Imperial ship's sensors. It was a simple trick, using basic physics instead of advanced technology. The Imperial ship's automatic systems, suddenly blinded, had to switch to secondary sensors. That's when Earth's real attack began. Defense platforms emerged from hiding, but instead of firing directly at the Imperial ships, they targeted the space around them. Hundreds of missiles detonated in carefully planned patterns, creating a web of explosions that disrupted the Imperial formation. They're breaking ranks, someone shouted in the command center. They've never faced coordinated attacks like this. The Imperial ships, their perfect formation shattered, tried to regroup. But Earth wasn't done. The refugee ships, hidden until now, launched their attack from behind Mars. They were few in number, but they knew Imperial weak points. Their precise strikes disabled engines and weapons systems. Impossible. The Imperial commander's message showed real anger now. You primitive savages cannot defeat Imperial ships. General Thompson's reply was calm. We're not trying to defeat your ships. We're trying to make you angry. The strategy worked. The Imperial commander, enraged by being outmaneuvered by primitives, ordered his ships to charge directly at Earth. It was exactly what humanity had planned for. Hidden in Mars' polar ice caps, special launchers activated. They fired thousands of simple metal balls into space. Each ball was barely the size of a tennis ball, but at the speeds they were traveling, they became deadly projectiles. The Imperial ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, had trouble with these simple physical objects. Ships began taking damage, not enough to destroy them, but enough to make them vulnerable. Now, ordered General Thompson, show them what Earth's weapons can really do. The main defense platforms around Mars revealed themselves. They fired weapons designed specifically to exploit the gaps in Imperial shields, gaps that Captain Reed and the refugees had revealed. The Empire's ships, already damaged and scattered, began falling one by one. In the command center, cheers erupted as the Imperial fleet retreated. Of the 50 ships that arrived, only 38 escaped. Earth had won its first major space battle. But victory came with warnings. Captain Reed pointed at the sensor readings. They'll be back. With their full invasion fleet. This was just a test, and while we won, we also showed some of our capabilities. General Thompson nodded. Good. Let them come. Now they know we can fight. They'll be cautious. And a cautious empire is exactly what we need. Across Earth, people celebrated. Videos of the battle, captured by space telescopes, played on every news channel. Humanity had stood against the greatest power in the galaxy and won their first battle. But in military bases worldwide, preparations continued. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They wouldn't accept defeat easily. The real war was just beginning. As the sun set on this historic day, Mars glowed red in Earth's sky. No longer just Earth's neighbor, but the site of humanity's first victory against an alien empire. The battle was over. The war for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The Empire's full invasion fleet filled Earth's telescopes with points of light. 500 warships, including 3 massive command vessels, emerged from faster-than-light travel. They spread across the solar system like a swarm of angry wasps, their golden hulls marking them as elite Imperial forces. "This is their Pride Fleet," Captain Reed explained in the Emergency Council meeting. "They've never deployed this many ships for a single world. We've made them very, very angry." General Thompson studied the tactical display. "Good. Angry enemies make mistakes. Begin Operation Hornet's Nest." The first surprise came when the Empire tried to establish their command base on Earth's moon. Hidden charges in the lunar surface detonated, throwing up clouds of dust that clogged their engines and sensors. The mighty Imperial ships were forced to retreat from what they had considered an easy first step. "Your tricks will not save you," the Imperial Fleet Commander broadcast. "The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. You are nothing but primitive rebels who need to be taught your place." Earth's response came in the form of 30 asteroids, previously hidden in the Kuiper Belt, suddenly changing course. For 3 months, engineers had planted engines on these space rocks, turning them into massive projectiles. Now they headed straight for the Imperial fleet. The Empire's ships easily destroyed the asteroids, exactly as Earth had planned. The explosions filled space with debris, creating a chaotic battlefield that negated the Empire's advanced targeting systems. In this chaos, Earth's smaller ships had the advantage. "Impossible." The Imperial commander's voice cracked with rage. "You planned this. Primitives cannot plan this well." The refugee fleet revealed itself next, but not to fight. Instead, their ships broadcast signals on Imperial frequencies, signals that told of Empire defeats, of primitive worlds fighting back. Signals meant not for Earth, but for the Imperial crews. "Look at their formation," Captain Reed pointed out. "The signals are working. Some ships are responding slower than others. They're beginning to doubt." The Empire launched its main attack anyway. Thousands of fighters poured from the warships, heading for Earth. They met layers of defense that humanity had prepared over the months. First came the minefield, simple metal balls coated with reactive materials. Then clouds of reflective dust that confused Imperial sensors. Finally, the fighters faced Earth's own aerospace forces, using modified atmospheric aircraft that could fight in space. The battle raged across the solar system. Imperial ships found their advanced weapons often missing targets that seemed to move in impossible ways. Earth's forces used the entire solar system as their battlefield, hiding behind planets, using gravity wells to change course, appearing from seemingly empty space to strike and vanish again. In the command center, Dr. Parker monitored his shield systems. "They're adapting to our redirecting shields," he reported. "But that's making them ignore simple physical barriers. Switch to Plan Delta." Across Earth, hidden bunkers opened. But instead of weapons, they launched thousands of inflatable decoys. The Imperial fleet, already confused by the asteroid debris, now faced what seemed like endless waves of Earth ships appearing from nowhere. "This is your final warning." The Imperial commander's voice shook with fury. "Surrender now, or we will destroy your entire civilization." The response came from every human ship and station simultaneously. "We would rather die free than live as slaves." That's when the refugees played their final card. They'd broadcast the entire battle, everything from the first scout ships to the current chaos, to every world in the Empire. For the first time, In Imperial history, the galaxy watched them losing. Imperial ships began breaking formation. Some crews, seeing their perfect empire being fought to a standstill by primitives, began to question their orders. Others, enraged by the resistance, broke ranks to charge forward, making themselves easy targets. In the command center, General Thompson watched the Imperial fleet's coordination crumble. "They've never faced an enemy who wasn't afraid of them," she said. "They don't know what to do with an opponent who simply refuses to fear their power." The battle wasn't over. Earth had taken heavy losses, and the Empire still had enormous firepower. But something had changed forever. The Empire's mask of invincibility had cracked. As the battle entered its second day, the stars themselves seemed to watch this pivotal moment in galactic history. Humanity had not just survived, it had shaken the foundations of an empire. The galaxy would never be the same. News of Earth's resistance spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The refugee ships had broadcast everything. The initial refusal, the Battle of Mars, and now the massive space battle where simple humans fought the Empire's Pride fleet to a standstill. For the first time in thousands of years, the Empire faced a problem they couldn't solve with force. In the Imperial Palace on their homeworld, the Emperor watched the reports with growing concern. "How?" he demanded of his advisors. "How can one primitive world cause so much trouble?" The answer came from an unexpected source. On 50 different Imperial worlds, populations that had been quiet for centuries began to stir. They watched videos of Earth's fighters using simple tactics to confuse Imperial ships. They saw humans choosing death over submission. Most importantly, they saw that the Empire could be fought. Back in Earth's solar system, the battle had reached a stalemate. The Imperial fleet, despite its superior technology, couldn't break through Earth's layered defenses. Every time they adapted to one tactic, humans changed to another. "Look at their formation now," Captain Reed pointed out in the command center. "They're not fighting like the Empire anymore. They're hesitating, second-guessing themselves. That's never happened before." The Empire's problems grew worse when their supply lines came under attack. Other refugee groups, inspired by Earth's example, began striking at Imperial cargo ships. The mighty fleet that had come to punish Earth now faced shortages of fuel and spare parts. "Send more ships," the fleet commander demanded of his superiors. But for the first time, the Empire hesitated. Reports were coming in from across their territory. Unrest, questions, even small rebellions. They couldn't spare more ships. Earth noticed the Empire's weakness. General Thompson gathered her staff to plan their next move. "They expect us to be brutal primitives," she said. "Let's surprise them again." Earth sent a message to the Imperial fleet. Instead of threats or demands, they offered medical help to damaged ships. "We fight because we must," the message said, "but we will not abandon our humanity." This confused the Imperial crews even more. Their propaganda had painted humans as savage primitives. But here they were, offering help to enemies while still refusing to submit. Some Imperial ships accepted the help, another first in Imperial history. The Empire's problems kept growing. Their strict control of information had broken down. Stories of Earth's resistance reached every corner of the galaxy. The Empire had always maintained power through fear and the image of invincibility. Now that image was cracking. In the Imperial Senate, arguments broke out. Some senators demanded that more resources be sent to crush Earth. Others worried about the cost. A few brave voices even suggested that Earth should be left alone. "The Empire has never failed to conquer a world," one senator argued. "The Empire has never faced a world like Earth," another responded. The fleet commander faced a difficult choice. His ships were running low on supplies. His crews were questioning orders. The easy victory he had promised was nowhere in sight. Worse, every day the battle continued, more worlds learned that the Empire could be resisted. In Earth's command center, Captain Reed brought stunning news. 3 Imperial worlds have declared independence, he reported. They're using Earth's defense tactics. The Empire can't be everywhere at once. General Thompson allowed herself a small smile. We didn't just defend Earth, she said. We showed the galaxy that resistance is possible. The Imperial Fleet Commander finally made his decision. He couldn't win, not without destroying Earth completely, which would only make things worse. For the first time in Imperial history, he opened negotiations not to demand surrender, but to discuss terms of withdrawal. Remember this day, he told his officers. This is when everything changed. As Imperial ships began pulling back, Earth's defenders maintained their watch. They had won more than just their own freedom. They had shown the galaxy that even the greatest empire could be stopped by determined resistance. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years faced a new reality. Their aura of invincibility was gone forever, and it all started because one primitive world dared to say no. The galaxy would never be the same again. 1 year after the Imperial fleet's withdrawal, Earth looked very different. Space stations orbited the planet openly now, their defense systems visible as a warning to any who might think of invasion. Ships from formerly Imperial worlds came to trade and learn, filling Earth's skies with vessels of all shapes and sizes. In the newly built Global Space Center in Geneva, General Thompson stood with Captain Reed, watching ships land and take off. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked. "When you first came seeking refuge?" Captain Reed shook his head. "We hoped to hide here, nothing more. Instead, you showed us and the galaxy how to stand up and fight." The Solar System Defense Accord had transformed the asteroid belt into a fortress. Automated defense platforms and early warning systems created a shield that made Earth's entire solar system a safe haven. But more importantly, Earth shared these designs with other freed worlds. "We understand you have many questions about our defense technology," a human ambassador told representatives from a newly free world. "We'll share everything we know. The only condition is that you must also share it with others who want to stay free." The Empire tried to maintain control of their remaining territories, but things had changed forever. Their perfect image was shattered. Every time they attempted to subdue a rebellious world, they found Earth-inspired defense systems waiting for them. Report from the Centauri sector. An aide announced in the command center. 3 more worlds have declared independence. They're requesting technical advisors. Earth had become known as the Empire Breakers, but not through conquest or destruction. Instead, they broke the empire by showing others how to defend themselves. The refugees who had once sought shelter now worked alongside humans, teaching and learning. Dr. Parker's redirect shields had become standard across free worlds. The Empire's problem, he explained to a group of alien engineers, was thinking that perfect defense meant stopping everything. Sometimes the smartest defense is simply not being where the attack lands. The Empire still existed, but it had shrunk dramatically. Worlds that had been under their control for thousands of years now governed themselves. Some formed alliances with Earth, others chose to remain independent, but all shared a common goal: remaining free. In orbit, the construction of Earth's first faster-than-light ship neared completion. Built with a combination of human innovation and alien technology, it represented humanity's next step into the galaxy. Its name, chosen by global vote, was simple: freedom. "We're not going to explore the galaxy to conquer it," the UN Secretary-General announced. "We're going to explore it to protect freedom wherever we find it." Captain Reed's people had settled on Mars, transforming the red planet into their new home. Other refugee species found homes on terraformed moons and asteroids. The solar system had become a symbol of unity and diversity, exactly what the Empire had fought against. The Empire made one final attempt at negotiations. Their ambassador arrived not with demands, but with offers of trade and recognition of Earth's independence. The response surprised them. "We accept your recognition," Earth's council stated, "but it's not just Earth's independence you need to acknowledge. Every world has the right to choose its own path." In the Geneva spaceport, General Thompson watched a group of alien children playing with human kids. They were using simple toys, balls and blocks, but they played together without caring about their differences. That's what the Empire never understood, she told Captain Reed. Real strength isn't in forcing everyone to be the same. It's in learning from our differences. The sky above Earth now shone with the lights of visiting ships and stations. Humanity had not only defended itself, but had helped create something new. A galaxy where freedom was protected not by a single power, but by the shared determination of many worlds. A year ago, Earth had stood alone against an empire. Now it stood with friends among the stars, ready to defend any world that chose freedom. The Empire had wanted to add one more world to their perfect order. Instead, they had sparked a revolution of independence that would echo through the galaxy forever. As the sun set on this new era, one thing was clear. The galaxy belonged not to empires, but to all who were brave enough to stand up and say, "We choose freedom." The end was also a beginning.